Okay, good evening. Welcome to
MathForKids number 93.
93. All right, suppose you are in a car going 40 miles an hour for 2.3 hours. How far do you travel? What do you think?
Well, 40 miles it's 40 miles an hour means 40 miles for every 1 hour.
Okay, you want to write some stuff down?
So,
Please? 40 miles
for 1 hour. I should write it in 1 hour actually.
Okay, 40 miles in
1 hour.
Okay. So you go 40 miles in 1 hour.
So this means 80 miles in 2 hours.
Okay.
So now we just got to figure out how far you travel in 0.3 miles. 0.3 hours.
Okay, how far do you travel in 0.3 hours, do you think?
You could do 40 to point. You could do 40 to 0.3.
Here, I'll write what you wrote over here. You keep working right here. So you say 40 miles. Go ahead.
This is what we have to figure out.
40 to 0.3.
40 over 3 tenths.
What are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. What does 42.3 mean?
It's 40 miles an hour for 0.3 hours now. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, well that's a ratio.
Yeah.
That's not what you want to do. So if you're going 40 miles an hour for 0.3 hours, how do you figure out how far you've gone? How did you figure this out? How did you figure out you went 80 miles in 2 hours?
I multiplied this by 2.
Okay. So now you have to figure out X miles
Whoopsie.
in 0.3 hours. Okay, so what are you going to do?
Well, how do you get from 1 to 0.3?
Yeah, good question. How do you get from 1 to 0.3? How did you get from 40 to 80?
You multiplied by 2.
How
Well,
did you get from 1 to 2?
you multiplied by 2.
Okay. So how do you get from 1 to 0.3?
Well, I have an idea.
What are you going to
We
do?
can get to 0.1 by dividing by 10.
Okay.
So 4 miles in 0.1 hours.
Okay, why don't you write that?
Hours.
Okay, you go 4 miles in 0.1 hours.
So we have to multiply by 3. 12 miles. In 0.3 hours.
Okay.
Let's check if that's still on camera.
Hope it is.
It went off.
Uh-oh.
12 miles in 0.3 hours though.
Okay, 12 miles in 0.3 hours. So how far do you go in 2.3 hours?
2.3 hours. Get 92 miles.
92 miles. Okay, very good. So let me show you another way to think about this problem. You were right to think about it as ratios. 40 miles per 1 hour is X miles in how many hours?
It's X miles in 0.3 hours.
2.3 hours.
Yeah. So
Okay, so those ratios will be the same. 40 miles in 1 hour is X miles in 2.3 hours, right?
yeah.
So we say 40 over 1 equals X over 2.3. And how do I solve for what X equals?
Now I multiply by 2.3, so it's 40. I have to do 40 times 2.4.
40 times 2.3. Okay, so 40 times 2.3, which is the same as 40 times 2 plus 40 times 0.3. So that's 80 plus 40 times 0.3. What is 40 times 0.3?
What's 40 times 3/10, which is 40 times 3/10 is 120 tenths, which is 12.
Which is 12. Okay, so it's 80 plus 12, which is
92.
92. Okay. So if you want to think about it in ratios, it's not a bad way to think about it. 40 miles to 1 hour is how many miles, x miles, in 2.3 hours. Okay?
Yeah.
So we just set up our ratios. That's why these kind of problems that we're doing are in the ratio section of your book. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, good job tonight.